everyone, this is Kathy from Kadale Handmade, and I wanted to welcome you to my video tutorial for the Sine wallet. The Sine wallet is a simple wallet. It has an ID window on the back, which is optional if you don't want to add that. It does close with the wallet hardware, the wallet twist or flip lock hardware, and inside here you have 4 card slots. And then you have 2 larger pockets here in case you wanted to put in some kind of tickets, receipts, notes, stuff like that. You can always tuck them in back. And then there is a spot for your cash. Now, Sine is Latin for without, and this wallet is without a dedicated coin slot. Now, I know some people are like, what? But then I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? Guys' wallets don't have coin slots. I guess they just put their coins in their pockets, but guys' wallets for years have not had coin slots, so it's not that it's not that foreign of an idea. But since I don't, or very rarely, carry cash, I don't have any coins, and I thought this would be perfect for what I use. All right, so I hope you enjoy this video tutorial. Now let's get to it. All right, so let's go over the pieces that we're going to need to make the pattern. Not many at all, which is awesome. You're going to have your main outer, and this is cork, so it's got a little bit of a woven backing to it. This is cork fabric. And then if you're adding the ID window, you will need a piece of non-fraying fabric for that, as well as a piece of clear vinyl. Then you will have 2 pieces that will be your card slots. And then this is the card slot backing, which will also create the money slot, so you can put bills in there. The other thing you're going to need is I got this one from Wallach, and just a small size, I think it's 4.5 inches. Let's see if it says, yeah, 4.5 inches. It's a wallet bar lock, so you'll need one of those. Another piece that I recommend is double-sided tape. You could use glue, but for this one I really do prefer double-sided tape, and seam ripper if you need it, just in case. And that's it. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. All right, so we're going to start with getting our outer panel prepped first. We're going to start with the ID wallet, the ID window for our wallet. If you are not making the ID wallet, you can skip ahead, and I will put in the notes where you can skip ahead in this video too. But if you are making the wallet, you will need a piece of non-frame fabric. So I'm using cork fabric here, and there is a pattern piece provided in the pattern instructions for this wallet or this window piece. So now what I'm doing is I'm just adding some double-sided tape to the back, and we're going to attach the clear vinyl piece first. So removing the paper backing, we're going to take the piece of vinyl, and you want it centered over the opening. Okay, so just like that, centered over the back. Now we're going to take it to the machine, and we are going to top stitch along this inside edge, and that will attach the vinyl to our frame. All right, once you get that stitched on, optionally you can add a row of top stitching just along one side only, and that's going to be where you slide your card in and out of. This is optional, but it does kind of give it a nice finished look. Now, grabbing your outer, there is a measurement provided in the pattern for how far in and how far up you're going to place your ID window. I have put a piece of double-sided tape on the back, so removing that double-sided tape, I'm going to make sure that this is in the exact placement that it needs to be, and then we are going to stitch along the side, the bottom, and the side. So you want the open end of your card slot here towards this side. You're only stitching along the 3 sides here. And then another note, make sure that your main outer piece is positioned correctly. It looks square, but one side is a little bit longer, so you want it to be taller than wider. All right, once you get that stitched on, it's again stitched on the 2 short sides and the 1 long side. double checking that your card will fit. And if you have any issues, if your card's too tight, you can always fix that now before you put the wallet together. Otherwise, you're kind of out of luck there. So just go ahead and test your card to make sure it fits. Now what you want to do is you want to flip this panel over, and there's a measurement provided for how far up you want to mark a line. So making sure that your card slot is now on the bottom right, and you'll know that because of the stitching. You're going to mark your line right across the bottom straight edge. Okay, I went ahead and marked a second line here. There is another measurement in the pattern, again, for how far up from the bottom of the panel you want it. And for this line, we are going to take our piece of Decoville Heavy, and we are going to line it up with that line that we just drew, making sure it's even, centered, left to right, and then we are going to fuse this in place. All right, once you have your Decoville Heavy fused in place, now what we want to do is we want to take the top of this panel and fold it down here to that first line that we marked. So we're folding it in half up to that first line. Now, here is where I will say I will like to use some glue, so I'm going to be using fabric tack today to help to just glue this whole panel together. You could also put a piece of double-sided tape just above this line that we drew, because we're just bringing this right down to that line. So we are going to have this little piece here that's going to fold up at the end, but we'll get to that part a little bit later. Right now we're just folding this in half. So I'm just going to take some fabric tack and just apply a little bit of glue here on the Decoville Heavy. Not a lot, I just want it to hold it in place. There we go, just kind of spread it around. And then, like I said, we're taking this panel, I'm going to do it this way, and we're folding it to meet that line. And then just pressing the panel down. Can hold it for a couple seconds, but it should hold it pretty well. And if you can feel in here, there's a little bit of a gap up here where there's not Decoville Heavy, and that's how we want it. There's just about the same amount on both sides here. Okay, now we're going to take it over to the machine, and we are going to top stitch along this folded edge only. All right, here we go. Here is how our exterior panel is looking so far. We are going to, I'm just double checking again, our card slot opens to the short side here, fold it in half, and then top stitch across that folded edge. Now we can set this to the side for now. We'll be picking this up again later. Next, we're going to work on creating the card slots. All right, to create the card slots, we are going to need our 2 card slot panels. On the back side, there are measurements provided in the pattern for where you're going to mark your fold lines. These measurements are listed as M's or V's. M is a mountain fold, V is a valley fold. If you're not sure what that means, I'm going to explain it as we go. But basically, mountain folds are where you fold the fabric wrong sides together. Valley folds are right sides together. So let me show you on this one, which I've already folded. The reason why I call them mountain folds and valley folds is if you look at it from the side, mountain, valley, mountain, valley. So that is just one way that I use to kind of help myself keep track of what I'm doing. I know that it's mountain, valley as I go. So now wherever you've marked your first line, you're going to fold at that line the mountain fold. So again, that's wrong sides together. I'm going to flip it over. The next one is going to be valley fold, right sides together, right at that next line. Here, mountain fold, wrong sides together. Let me just make sure I got that. Yep, got it in the right spot. Okay, then valley fold is the next one. Right there. And as you can see, I've already interfaced. So this is just a lightweight canvas, and I've interfaced with SF101, and I've cut it down by 1/2 of an inch all the way around to keep it out of the seam allowance. So let's see, the last one here is a mountain fold, wrong sides together, and your fabric should line up. So once you get all your folds done, your fabric here at the bottom, the two raw edges should line up. This is how your card slots are looking on the other side. Once you get them folded and everything looks right, go ahead and give it a press, and then we're going to take it to the machine. Okay, at the machine we are going to top stitch along each folded edge only. So you're going to top stitch along this edge, fold that pocket out of the way, top stitch here, fold that out of the way, top stitch there. And then the last thing you're going to do is just baste stitch down the sides of these card slots. All right, once you have both card slots top stitched and basted down the sides, you can set these to the side, and we are ready to move on to creating the card slot back, or the piece that's going to create the spot for our cash. All right, because we hope we're going to have a lot of cash in our wallet, right? We are going to be creating this panel, which is going to be our card slot back, or the spot that has the cash. So with our panel, now there again, you want this piece longer this way, shorter this way. So make sure you have your correct measurement going widthwise here. We're going to flip it over to the back, fold it wrong sides together. So you have your folded edge down here at the bottom. We are going to top stitch along this folded edge. Okay, once that is top stitched, you are going to take it and open it up so it's laying flat. I know your little folded edge here is going to be poking up, and that's fine. We are going to just lay it right sides up, and this will be, so if this was the bottom, then consider this the back, if that makes sense, because your top stitched edge here is going to be the bottom of your card slot, and this will all make sense in just a minute. Okay, so we're going to open this up. This is the back. We are going to take one card slot, flip it over, and aligning it with the bottom edge. So along the side here and the bottom here, we're going to clip it in place. Along the bottom. And again, our folded edge, so our cards are opening to the center. So make sure your top stitch edge is here, raw edge here, and of course the sides here. Then taking our other card slot, we want it same way. So stitching towards the center, flipping it over and aligning it with the bottom edge. We're going to clip it in place. Okay, so that's how that looks. We're clipped along this bottom edge. There we go. All right, now you have the option, if you want to go ahead and baste this in place, you can. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to take this top edge and bring it down to meet the bottom edge. So now obviously your card slots are longer, so they'll be a little bit curled up inside, but you're just going to bring this edge, the top edge, down to meet the bottom edge, and we're going to clip it in place all the way across. And then we are going to stitch this edge here according to the seam allowance. So we're going to sew straight across, leaving the sides open, just sew straight across this bottom edge according to the seam allowance. All right, so stitched across, and as you can see, our card slots are a little curled up in there. Now, because we want to try to keep the bulk down as much as possible, I'm going to cut these corners at an angle, and then I'm just going to trim back this seam allowance here by about half. All the way across here. There we go. Okay, and now what we want to do is we need to turn this through. So all right, there we go. So now this is what it's looking like. Kind of like a U or a C or an All right, so once you pull your card slots out, you want to make sure, again, this is the bottom here. go ahead and give that a press, but we're going to take it over to the iron while we're pressing it, and then we're going to fold these down right here. So give it a press to make it nice and flat, and then fold these down. You can give it another press if you want to, but we're going to end up top stitching right along this top edge through the card slot back, and then across this edge here as well. Again, so iron, flip these down, make sure your folds are just right, you don't have any seam allowance pushed one way or the other, and then we're going to top stitch across this edge. All right, so once you get that top stitched, this is what it's looking like. Yep, it'll all make sense in just a minute. But this is exactly how we want it to look. There is a measurement now to provide, or in the pattern, is provided in the pattern for how high this should measure. So really, you might have some difference depending on what you did for your seam allowance, and this is just a final double check, so make sure that it is the height that is in the pattern. If it's not, just go ahead and trim off the bottom edge here so that it is the right height. And okay, now the final thing that we need to do here is we just need to trim 1/4 of an inch off of each side. So it's just a slight amount, 1/4 of an inch. This is going to make our panel a little bit shorter than our outer main panel. And that's going to help with bulk on the inside of the bag when we, or the inside of the wallet when we put it together. It's going to help this center seam here so that it's not quite so bulky when we have our wallet closed. Okay, now we are ready to put this thing together. So let's go ahead and grab our exterior. We're going to lay that down so our ID window is to the back. We're going to take our card slots and line it up. We want the bottom edge here lined up with this edge of this cork. So that's how we're going to line it up here. And as you can see, it's shorter, and that's exactly right. That's how we want it. So I'm just going to line it up here first on this side and clip it in place. Okay, and then same on the other side, lining up that bottom edge there, and then clipping in place across. Okay, there you go. And as you can see, that creates that slight boat effect so that when we close it, we have a nice fold there and it's not all wrinkled and bunched up in there. So that's how we want that to look. Okay, so let's go ahead and just baste down these sides just to help to hold this in place. All right, so the next step that we have to do here is we have to fold up this bottom edge. So you could use double-sided tape or you could use glue, and I actually think for this step I'm going to use glue since our card slots here are a little bit curved up. I just think the glue is going to help to hold that a little bit easier. So I'm going to add some glue here, and then I'm just going to add a strip of glue on this side of that line. Okay, so pushing that fabric down. And then what we want to do is we want to take this cork or vinyl, whatever you're using, and you're going to fold it up and over the raw edge of your card slots there. So we're going to do that all the way across. I'm going to pull these down a little bit. There we go, and you can see that's why we wanted to keep the bulk out of that side seam because it's just, I mean, it does get pretty bulky right there where that third card slot is. Okay, so once you have it clipped all the way across, now we're going to take it to the machine and we're going to stitch down this side edge here. And we're going to stitch it as close as we can to this edge because we want to make sure that we catch and cover all of the raw edge of that card slot there. Okay, so we're just going to stitch straight across right on this edge here. Okay, so there is how that looks, top stitched on both sides, catching all of those card slots. And then again, if you wanted to double check your card slots, so there are 4 card slots. There we go, if I get them in straight. And then back here is another, like a larger pocket. So not really made for card slots because they are deeper, but you could add tickets, receipts, notes, anything like that that you wanted to hide in that back section. So 4 card slots, 2 pockets, and then your cash slot here. Okay, so now the last thing we need to do is to put on our purse hardware. So I am using the side with the little clasp, the little flip lock, and holes are up. So holes are only on one side, so you want the holes up. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay a bead of fabric tack again all the way across this hardware. Okay, and then I'm going to just slide that in, and it should line up perfectly or pretty close to perfectly. And then we're just going to screw it in. Okay, there is that piece attached. Here's how it looks from the back side. I love the rose gold. Okay, now we need to attach the other side. So this one now has a hole, and again, the screw holes are only on one side. So what I'll do with this one is I will slide it onto the wallet. I'll slide it all the way on, and then here's where I need to mark where I need to cut out the hole. So there are dies to punch this hole, and I'll get mine in just a second. If you don't have a die, you can use scissors. Just go real slow here. It's always better to cut less than more because you can't put it back once you cut it off. So if you just wanted to cut, you don't have to cut the hole, you can cut all the way to the end here. So it's almost like you're just cutting this little notch out. But just cut a little bit above or to this side of your mark, and then you can put this back on and check it to see, does it clear everything? And if not, you can trim a little bit more. But let me grab my die that I have to punch the hole, and I'll show you how easy it is with that. All right, here is my set of holes, or dies I should say, for different size and shape hole punches. I got this from Amazon, and I will link in the video description on where I got it from, but it wasn't very much. And then I found this die right here, which is the perfect size that I have found to cut the hole. So all I'll do is I just have this tiny little hammer, and I'm going to line up that mark that I created. that I traced out, and then I'm just going to hammer this, and I'm going to mute this part so that your ears stay intact. Okay, there we go. So once you get that punched, what you have is a little hole like this. Okay, and then let's see here. I'm going to check this hardware one more time, but I am going to add some fray check to the opening. Okay, so that looks pretty perfect to me, if you ask. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of fray check here on the fabric side of this opening, and that's just to help it obviously not fray. All right, let me put this to the side. All right, and then again in here I'm going to take some fabric tack and drop some glue. Not a lot, but I just want it to help hold everything in place. All right. And then again, I'm sliding it on with the whole side on the inside. Again, for your screw holes. The screw holes are on the inside, the straight is on the outside. All right, and then we're just gonna attach these screws. And I always hold the hardware, I kind of press it in towards the wallet as I'm attaching the screws, at least the first couple, so that the hardware doesn't try to pull away from the wallet at all, and then it's not installed correctly or evenly. Okay, there we go. So let me just put some stuff away here, clear off my little table. All right, there is our Sine wallet. And again, we can put some cards in, making sure everything looks really good. And like I said, it does create that little bit of a bow here when it's all the way open, but that is because when you fold it closed, you have a nice fold here and you don't have any bunching there. All right, the last thing, just close that little clasp. And then again, you could always put your card on the outside, your ID, business card, whatever you wanted on the outside. Guys, this is so cute. I love this little wallet. So again, the Sine wallet without, Sine is Latin for without, and this wallet is without a dedicated coin slot. All right, guys, so thank you so much for joining me. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe if you haven't already. And then I will link down below where you can find me on all my socials, in my Facebook group, and stuff like that. All right, I hope you enjoyed the Sine wallet. Now go sew something fun.